And what is up, Straw fam? We got Frisco, Lava
Hey.
Cake. Woo! Hey. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Pat. How you doing, Pat?
Hi.
How you doing?
How's it going,
Hi.
Jose? I haven't
Doing good.
seen
How
you
are you?
forever.
Yeah, how's you forever, dude? Matthew, Brushes. How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
You're good?
Hello.
You're good?
Mashu.
Hello.
What is that? What is that hat that you have? What is that? What is that? Can you tell me about your hat?
Alan Crisprano. Bear Collectibles. Best shop owner on the planet. If you haven't gotten your Shield product for Series T, make sure you get your pre-orders through.
In the multiverse. In the multiverse.
Got the update actually over the weekend for you guys, so make sure you get in there.
It's lit.
Ricardo Sapp. How you doing, sir?
Hola, señor. ¿Cómo
How you
está?
doing? Muy bien, ¿y usted? How you doing?
You
Muy
polish it
bien.
up.
Muy bien.
And you guys are guessing why am I so excited? Because I woke up at 6 in the morning, worked out once, then after that in the afternoon, rode 12 miles on my bike. I have no more energy.
How does
That's
that
all
sound
energy
for
I
a
had.
60-year-old.
Anyways, today we're gonna talk what everybody wants to talk about. We're gonna talk about the new cards that we have. We have very little amount of cards, so we're gonna go very quickly through that. We're gonna go through a tier list. We're gonna go to the tier 1 decks and also what decks can help you top and what decks actually we started to think that they were good at the beginning, and then as we got yellow, they fell down. They fell from grace.
Dun, dun,
So-
dun.
So without further ado, Frisco, multicolors. Tell me what you think for the new multicolor cards.
I guess I'll just start off with a bang here and just talk about the Goku card, the red blue. I think the card's absurd. Just any time that you can have fun and uninteractive gameplay and just reuse the same burn
That's
spells.
my phrase, bro.
AKA Pat O'Neill style of play.
I'm stealing everything because you know what? I'm catastrophic blow and I'm just gonna do free damage. That's just what the card does. So I think the card's absurd and it's combo power too. It's just like it's everything that Invoker wanted all in one card.
But the card doesn't have deflect, bro. It's bad.
Which is interesting. We'll probably talk about this later, but I don't think that's a big deal.
I'll be sarcastic.
So I think biggest oversight from like when we originally read the card to like when we played with the card is we forgot it was a Goku. And the relevance
Multicolor
of
Goku.
that is that Catastrophic Blow has text that says if you either have an empty board or you have a Goku on the board.
Red
So
blue.
traditionally you're using the 6 drop on 6, but as early as turn 4 you could go turn 4 Vegeta, SS Blue, and then turn 4 you could do the Goku, and bam, your Catastrophic Blow is online.
Yes, and if you have multiple Sensu Beans and multiple Catastrophics, woo!
GGskis. Pat, anything else you want to add on the card?
On Goku? No, Goku is literally it's actually funny because like before the set came out, I was stressing because like full disclosure, I bought his Apex of Power. I literally bought Matt's Apex of Power, and I was so high on Invoker, and then like I started to think like Invoker's just not that good. Like I feel like I made a mistake. I should sell all my Invoker cards. Like it's maybe it'll never be competitive again. Like, and then we got this Goku, and I was like, oh, this card's pretty good. And then Frisco was like, no, Pat, you don't understand. It's real.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
Like, oh, okay. So, yeah. I don't want to.
And then you read the Facebook comments on the card, and they're all doing the SpongeBob meme, and it's like, but it doesn't have Reflector Barrier.
So no, yeah, basically, I don't want to give too much away because we'll talk more about decks later on, but like. Decente again is that is the floor for the card is Decente.
Matthew, Mr. Brushes, the most electrifying man in Dragon Ball Entertainment.
Oh, that's sweet. I think that anytime you take a strategy that was pretty solid and improve its energy efficiency and overall ceiling, and make the deck win a turn earlier, I think you're always like bound to see sparks fly, especially with like Surge Q just having targeted discard on the Awakened side. It feels pretty decent. So I think the card's outstanding. I love that it takes the deck from being completely unplayable at the beginning of our testing to being like a competitor. So I think it's really good.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, Frisco, you've been
they gotta
exploring. Yeah, I was just going to ask Frisco. So you've been exploring SS3 with Invoker in the days leading up to that card's release.
Right.
What's your opinion on utilizing Surge Goku compared to SS3? Strengths, weaknesses, which one's ultimately better?
I think this because I put in the article how Invoker was kind of in a weird place because it can't play unisons and it can't really utilize it, and it had to wait a full turn or later because SS3 gets a ramp and stuff like that. But then this card got released, so I actually think it's probably the Invoker deck's probably like a little bit better in itself. I want to test SS3 Invoker with the actual burn package and see how good that feels. Because you can just play Overwhelm in the deck. It doesn't have to be the Warp extra cards, right? It doesn't have to be like Royal Condemnation. You don't have because SS3 can't play it. So I think that might be the way to win, and I think that's the way to go.
Cool. Sad, do you have anything to add on the Goku?
No, not on the Goku. There's a couple other. Actually, if we're still talking about Gokus, we can always talk about Goku Hit.
Yeah.
Goku hit.
We're not
No.
worthy. We're not
I'll
worthy,
keep
bro.
it short, Sam. I don't want to steal your thunder, but in a word, overperforms.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yes.
Yeah, so we read it like the first time you look at it because it has the blocker text. You kind of you just think of it as like
A
almost
defensive card.
like a Zord Ray. Yeah, and it's just like, oh, okay, so he can stop 2 attacks. It's all right. And then Matt is like, but you can use it offensively. You can swing with it twice, and then it blocks, and then you swing again. Plus, it's bigger than the opponent's leader, and then you realize that it's a 1 energy turtless, and you're like, oh, that card got banned last week.
Yeah. Also, Zamasu super combo.
Don't get me started.
I think the really cool thing about the card is that yes, it's a very good offensive card, and what we found out in yellow, one of the biggest things that we hated about Bardock was that you can't use it defensively all the time because they're always swinging at your unison. Well, now you have a fix to that problem because you just activate blocker, and then you can just use your Bardock as well.
But it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
I make that mistake all the time.
So, yeah, and now you actually have a way to resolve your Raiders War cries now, and it feels pretty good.
And if you want to fill the casual deck, then you whip out your explosive power Kefla, and you start giving it double strike every turn.
Seems decente.
Yep.
Muy decente.
Frisco, do you want to add anything on the Goku and the Supreme Alliance without going to the deck? Because you have been using it, you have been exploiting it on your SS3 version.
Yeah, I've been using the Soul Striker in SS3. I think it gives the deck a little bit more like reach, and it gives a lot more attacks. Bouncing it back with Path to Infinite is amazing because you can arrival, swing, Path to Infinite, bring it again, swing with Path to Infinite, swing again on their arrival, so you get a total of like 5 attacks for a total of 2 energy, which is more energy efficient than a Boonie, which is crazy to think about.
Mhm.
And it also provides a good amount of utility for defense. So I think the card's amazing.
It is the almost best form of virtual card advantage offensively and defensively because if it's
What is it? What is that virtual hand advantage? What is it?
it's
Do you have a video about that?
I do.
That you could explain?
A video got posted today about that had tidbits about
Okay.
it. But the fact that you okay, first off, to thank you. But anyway, to actually play this card, you unfortunately have to take on the cost of playing Zamasu Super Combo. Oh, that's awful, right? That's terrible.
Oh, sorry, terrible.
So like, start with that. So you're forced to play that card. Then you tap a blue energy. Then you get a 19k dual attacker for 1 energy. That, if you want, can just be a double blocker. So if your opponent doesn't deal with it, they're either eating 2 attacks or you're blocking 2 of their attacks, and they have to give you a card if they even want to kill it because they can't just do a 15k swing. Like just the math on that is absurd. If it just lives 1 turn, the value is wild. Exactly. No, it's like the card's wild. I mean, the preview came out, and I knew that it was just going to be, oh, okay. Well, like, and this, we were worried about like, yellow, and it's like, oh, it was actually this innocuous, SR or rare multicolored color that actually ended up breaking the color itself.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, it is highly vulnerable to removal,
Mhm.
and it does feel very bad every time it gets removed. So it's by no means overpowered.
Correct.
Yes. Pat, do you want to add anything on it? Have you been trying anything with the card?
Actually, no. The first time I actually I've seen it in testing. I've seen how powerful it is, but like we were literally just talking right before recording. Its applications for She Who Shall Not Be Named, and whether or not it actually makes the deck viable or decente. So we'll start to get some reps in personally with the card, but just watching it, like the thing that like really is not it's like I don't know how to explain it, but like the blue arrival, the blue energy on the arrival is everything. Like the fact that it's blue energy and not yellow energy means so many decks can utilize it, because like there's a lot of decks splash yellow, but they don't play a ton of yellow unless they're like a yellow leader, right? So like that one yellow that you probably only have open for Bojack, like that's kind of a hindrance sometimes. Like everybody's got blue open. Like it feels like every deck can just afford to play
Right.
The card for one blue.
And
Yeah.
you can just combo away Saiyan Instinct when you don't have your super combo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're
just
already
replay
playing
Pain Instincts, just value.
Yes. Yep.
Peace.
There's another draft box multicolor card or set 10 multicolor you're playing in that deck too, right? Pat.
Multicolor.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is Gohan and Piccolo. So
Yeah,
I
that's the one I was
originally
thinking
of the full disclaimer here, I think I'm the only one out of these 5 gentlemen you see in front of you, myself included. I'm the only one that did not like Gohan Piccolo. I thought it was not a good card. Everyone else was like, it's really good. What are you talking about? It's it's got this main that blows up cards in the early game, so it kind of solves some aggro issues that blue green as a whole has. It's like, all right, that's fine, it's whatever. And they're like, well, it's also a pretty good closer. I'm like, not really. Then I realized you can give it critical, and I'm like, okay, yeah, really. that's the SR, bro. That's kind of absurd. So yeah, I mean,
Obviously,
I'm not,
you want to do Brilliant Idea, right? 'Cause Brilliant
yeah,
Idea-
brilliant idea to give it critical on 10k, because then like 25k double strike with triple attack is like, it's good, right? But I'm like, what makes me want to play this over like Maximum Muscle Roshi, which is already just like an all right card, and then they're like, well, it can also have critical on a card you're already playing. I was like, oh, so that's just 6 damage crit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it's pretty hard to block. So
Exactly.
like, yeah, the SS4 Vegeta that you were already gonna play, now you get to play like 5 of it. So, yeah, so it's a big deal. Like again, still in testing phase, so I don't know if it's gonna be like this amazing game-changing card for blue green. Like it's not. I don't think it's gonna replace like Violent Predator, some of the other like cons the colors had, like Hero Revive's gone now. So, but it's good, right? Like it could be good. Like it could be very good. So I'm willing to admit I was wrong on the card.
Well, I mean, just think about
So-
the turns where you like snowball out of control and you hit multiple ramp spells and you get to play the Piccolo early. Like it's decent.
What up?
We were overusing this. We're like beating a dead horse.
What about the red yellow? The Bulma Vegeta. What do you guys think?
Cute combo with what is the red yellow 20k?
Surge of Divinity.
Yeah.
I ain't playing that.
Now,
The
I
sad
actually,
thing about it, like, it's just like you're buffing your Destroyer Angel from Dropbox 5 from like the 2-drop 24th offering to just have crit, and you're just putting in so much work to do that. And even if the card was a 2-drop right now, it still probably wouldn't even be played.
I
which
like
is
how
sad.
people have gone, like, I've been looking around online, like that combo is very popular. Like a lot of people are posting about it on the Facebook group, and it's actually like you're talking about how convoluted it is to play this card to get one card, right? To get the Surge of Divinity or whatever. Not Surge of, what's the 3-drop offering? So you're going through all this work to get the 3-drop offering card.
Dawn of Divinity.
Dawn
Dawn
of Divinity.
Thank you. Dawn of Divinity. You're playing Dawn of Divinity, and like so he's like, new Vegeta Ball
Love that
to
card.
get that is convoluted. But the way I see people playing it on Facebook is they go, Bulma Vegeta to get expansion pack 20k 3-drop critical Vegeta that sacks himself to get Dawn of Divinity. They're going the extra mile.
No.
I'm like,
I've just been doing Absolute Annihilation as my 3-drop yellow Saiyan because it has barrier, deflect, and then it taxes my opponent if they try and play extra cards.
are you talking about the SS4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's you play it in
It's
certain
right
you play it
Yeah.
you play it
You
in
have to
certain-
understand, Pat. There are 3 guarantees in this world: death, taxes, and Matt Coombs talking about it.
Correct.
Him talking about DNT, like mono white DNT, is like me talking about, well, you guys know.
I actually think I think the best synergy the card has is probably with the Bulma leader, and then you get to run the 2-drop Gohan that untaps it, and it's a Bulma card that brings out the 5-drop Vegeta for the Bulma deck, and it's another Bulma in the deck, basically a relevant Bulma.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to scoff at, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, what about red green? I'm actually a little bit disappointed on that one.
Yeah.
The best part about it is deflect. Deflect is the best part about the card.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. And now
Cards
the
banned.
big, thickest, the second thickest. Sorry, second thickest. Only second to Mr. Matthew Combs.
I think
Celcino.
about the Jiren.
The Celcino.
Wow.
The
And the
Celcino.
Jiren. And the Jiren.
Oh, we forgot about the Jiren. Yes.
Jiren.
They're both the same conversation. They have the same
I've been
applications.
hearing.
Oh, I was
So-
just talking about Jiren being thick. I wasn't talking about the card, but yeah, I was talking about Celcino.
No, I completely forgot about the Jiren. Actually, let's start with the Jiren.
Wow.
Let's start with the Jiren. What do you guys think about the Jiren? Arrival, red, yellow, green, 2 energy.
So,
So the card conflicts with so much of what they do already.
yes.
I don't know.
And I think
Go ahead, Matt. I'll let you take it.
Oh no, you're fine. I think that 2-cost arrival cards are really hard to play in this format. So
Without
far,
deflect.
yeah, in my testing so far, 2-cost arrival has just felt like either it was just way too expensive because it's like I wanted to be able to do like other things on certain turns, so there's a lot of conflicts. And I think that comes with like the unison paradigm. Like when you start playing unisons, it's like
Right.
you want to play this card on turn 2 or turn 3. It's like, okay, well then when am I going to play my arrival card? It's like
Exactly.
am I not playing it until turn 4 because that feels awful. I think it has applications in something like Topo. Like if you want to do like green yellow Topo, I think you might be able to get somewhere. But otherwise, I think the card is the antithesis of what Jiren wants to do, because Jiren is basically just like white weenie, low to the ground, get things out on the board, spam the board, hit your successor targets, or play taxes. And so it's like it's just the complete opposite of everything you'd want to do. So I think the card is unfortunately underwhelming.
It's indecente.
I think the best thing about the card is that it's like if your board is wiped and you can just arrival and not take in damage, it's kind of cool, you know, if you're Jiren leader, because they never really had that option beforehand, but now you do. I
I
think. Go ahead.
I feel like this card should have been on the previous set for the main Jiren deck.
Yeah, it feels like
Okay.
a set 9 card in a meta where
Yes.
it doesn't work.
You know what's weird is that it gets a 9 cost, which doesn't. I don't. It's still, like, why 9? If it was 8 into successor Gohan, it'd be like, let's do it. Maybe we could try something, right? But like 9 for like.
I mean, you can go to Super 17.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
I
like-
think. I mean, Super Something has a bunch of merit. I think being able
Oh,
to play
yeah.
that turn 3. But the issue is to get the most reward out of that, you have to play leaders that don't have to attack opposing leaders.
Mhm.
And every Universe 11 leader right now demands you attacking it.
Yeah.
That's what-
The one application I could see with that becoming a 9 cost, then you can go into the big Papa Jiren that gets quadruple and he cannot be negated or anything. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
unfortunately,
that's
he
a
has-
super late play. Yeah, it's a super late play.
So the only thing I wanted to say is you were saying that 2-cost arrival cards aren't really that good. So far, the only one it feels like from our testing that I've seen that is like okay, like I wouldn't even call it good, like okay, is Tragedy Foretold Brawly. Like that's the only one
Yes.
that I think I would be willing to pay 2 for in this format because of the disruption that it causes and the board removal. Like it
Yeah.
has, you get persistent value out of it in this format. So that's pretty much like the only one I think that is actually good. That's a 2-cost arrival.
So we're saying the new Frieza's bad then too.
That was the perfect segue.
Dynamo?
Yes.
I mean,
Um,
it has some synergy with the Champ Pack Frieza. Like it's similar to the Jiren that it wants to be played on defense. Then on offense, you can just go into the
You know,
5-drop
you know what the
Frieza.
Frieza is? The Frieza is literally, Mom, can we have cooler? And Mom going, we have cooler at home. And then the cooler at home is the Frieza that we just got.
okay, so that was short. So let's go into the meat. What about
Meat
Cell?
and potatoes.
The Dark Parasite.
Oh.
Sappy, I know you've been testing extensively with the card. What do you want to say?
Extensively 4 games, however you interpret it. So the value of the card comes from being able to replace it with a Cell or a Hellfighter 17 directly afterwards. So you're playing super defensively for the first 3 to 4 turns. You're somehow getting a 1-drop to stick, or in a worst case scenario, you're resurrecting a quick
Tweet 17 or something like that.
Yeah,
1-drop turn.
quick sweep. Yep.
Like 17.
Yeah, so it's a good play. It's a good deck. Because your leader is so consistent, it feels pretty manageable. You make them discard a lot of cards. I'm not sold it's as good of a hand destruction strategy as other things that we have access to, but it's far from unplayable. I think I would probably call it like a good gatekeeper deck. Like if your deck is struggling immensely against that deck, it's probably not doing well against the rest of the format. If you find yourself having a good matchup against it, or you can keep up, your deck's probably worth exploring at a super competitive level.
That's a fair assessment.
And that's a perfect segue to tier list.
My favorite thing about the world.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Pat, if you love tier list, tier
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
right now.
Tier list, on what
And
criteria?
go.
On what metric? What axis?
It doesn't matter. You're the tier master.
Oh, I'm the tier master?
Yes.
Alright, cool. I don't know. Let's see. What are we doing?
On-
Best
right.
hit. We'll go with
Oh,
Jose.
okay. No. 2 minutes. You have 15 seconds. Tell us what the reasoning is. We all have one guess on what the tier list is.
Oh crap! That's a good one.
Ooh, so you make
Got
your own
15
tier
seconds.
list.
Ooh.
Okay. Top tier, Richard Zapp. High tier, Matthew Combs. Low tier is Jose Mercado and Frisco.
Deck building.
Yeah, I know what it is. Super Smash Brothers.
No, because he didn't put himself in there.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Run
Oh,
one more time.
Oh, if you want me in the tier list, mid tier.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be. Okay.
You're mid.
Okay. One more time.
Okay, so top tier is Richard Zapp, and then high tier is Matthew Combs, and then I'm mid tier, and then Jose and Frisco
He's
low
low.
tier.
Okay.
So I said deck building, and Frisco said
That's actually
Smash.
not Smash
So
Bros.
we're out. Okay.
I thought it was Super
Oh,
Smash.
is
but
it catchphrases?
No.
Oh man.
No,
You're gonna be-
I
you're gonna
would
be-
be- dude, I would be high tier.
completely
In
bogus.
catchphrases, I would be high tier, bro.
This is true.
Yeah, if it was
you obviously
catchphrases,
think
then
I'm a
Jose
terrible
would be
deck builder,
God tier.
Jose. Goddamn.
No, it would be God tier would be Jose, and then high tier would be Matt. Oh, you guys want the logic? You trying to guess?
No, Sap has to guess. He has to guess.
Gosh.
That's all I knew, Zap.
I'm searching so hard. What am I the best at?
We cannot lose to Pat. You
Dude,
don't
I told you, like,
understand.
you said I had like no time, dude. So I made it on the most bogus criteria possible.
Best taste in cereal.
No, actually, no. So what the criteria is thing I would most like to wear on my head, and then if that's not an option, then who do I think has the best hair? I would rather wear a bikini baseball cap, and then since there is no other hat available, I would rather have my hair than Frisco. There you go. That's how my mind works, ladies and gentlemen.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
This might be
That's
my
awesome.
regular thing. I kind of enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
I like, dude. My friend Kenny, I've known since I was a kid. When we went to see the remake of Evil Dead, I tier listed. He said, "You have 10 seconds. Tier list all of the people in the movie," and I did it. I was like, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, Sap, you didn't know what you were getting us into. Okay,
Glasses guy was bottom tier. That's all I remember. Glasses guy was bottom tier because he died immediately. He was completely useless.
Oh
but
my
now,
God.
Well, now you have the opportunity to share with us your well-thought tier list.
For this? Oh, for this?
Yes.
So me and Jose talked about this at length on Saturday. I feel like right now, like I don't have like a comprehensive list, but like I have 5 decks that I think are very clearly tier 1. I think they're just a whole like head above every other deck that I've played or seen played. And then like my tier 2 is like 20 decks because there are a lot of decks that I think are actually viable for each color combination. Like, and they range from some like really nutty ones. These ones like in tier 2, like I think Vegito and Zamasu are like obvious tier 2 ones, but then like I think Frieza Prison is has merit in this format. I think Expert Deck 21 has merit. But if you guys just want to know what I think the 5 best decks are, I think it's Dredgeku, so the mono green Goku, right? The one that you guys have seen us talk about. Invoker, like Surgeku Invoker, is the next one. Vejax, which I don't think I need to explain that one. Right? What did I forget? Soul Striker is the other one, and why can I not remember the last one? Yellow Gotenks. Mono Yellow Gotenks. Not necessarily Mono Yellow, like as in the deck, but the leader.
Yeah.
Gotenks. I think those are the 5 best leaders in the format.
Okay. Yeah. Frisco, do you agree? Anything else you want to add?
I agree. Besides everything Soul Striker, I love the deck. I built like 12 versions of it yet. I don't know. It can't beat Invoker. I'm kind of convinced it probably can't beat Invoker, and it's probably pretty bad against Gotenks as well because Gotenks just taps all your energy that you untap. I want to test out Machuca Cabra to turn off some of the cards that hurt the deck. Because I think him being able to play Machuca Cabra on tap 2 and then still have a normal turn has a lot of relevance with Soul Striker. I don't know if it brings it up for me. I don't think it's far off. I just don't know. I think the other 4 I would play over the deck.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly the same conclusion without super articulating it with Frisco. We came to the same conclusion that those are the 5 best decks, and Soul Striker happens to be the deck in that Pentagon that has the worst matchup spread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I had to rank them like 1 through 5, number 1 is Green Goku, number 2 is Invoker, 3 is Gotenks, 4 is Vejax, 5 is Soul Striker.
Okay.
Cool.
Matthew, what do you think?
My first question I want to ask everybody is why do we think Reboot Gohan is not one of the best decks in the game?
I have a great answer for that, actually.
Tamaso Super Combo.
No, I just want to know. I want to ask because I know that it's a very popular deck that everyone thinks is incredibly good. So I just want to ask the question just for our audience to hear the reasoning why.
Okay, Tamaso Super Combo, Mechu Chupacabra. What else?
What is the interaction between Machuca Cabra and
Depending on how you sequence your turn, they tap your leader.
Yes.
the Unison? I thought you were talking about
The Unison.
So
Yeah,
I
Unison.
think,
Unison.
I think the biggest thing to articulate with Gohan is that you take advantage of a lot of players that don't know how to play against Gohan and when to negate and when to actually start taking damage. And I think once you start understanding the rhythm of what they're trying to do and how you should counter it, like if you're playing Topo on turn 2, you're probably asking to lose the game because they don't care about Topo. Like it's just like it's a different type of aggro of what they're trying to do that you need to learn how to play around. Also, Yellow came up with a new card that basically just tells Gohan to go in a dumpster.
Yeah, get lost. Like get lost. Like
Release
the
from
Gogeta extra card.
Yeah.
Let's be fair though. We've severely undertested the leader, and we haven't actually tested his matchup spread.
I agree.
Absolutely.
That is 100%. I am in agreement with that. I didn't think that the deck was tier 1 in Series 9. I don't think it got too many great tools. So I think if you were trying to play like the suicide aggro, like I'm trying to kill you turn 3, maybe turn 4 strategy of playing it, I think you're in for a bad time. I do think that there's merit in playing the deck how Brian is talking about, where you can try and take the game later with alternative later win cons, such as like SS4 Vegeta arrival and things like that. Like, sure, I think there's merit. We haven't tested it. We don't know the matchup spread for a version like that, but the previous version, just based on how I felt about it in the previous format, it didn't get any new tools that suggested that style of play got better. So, and like Frisco said, there are things that you just learn from playing against the deck enough that like, if you haven't seen it, you probably think Gohan is absurd or one of the best decks in the game. It really is a deck that takes advantage of players who are not seasoned, like who haven't seen all of its tricks.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a lot of things is sideboard related. It's like having X amount of negates, just because a simple negate, like just chaining 2 negates for the turn, basically bypasses you more turns. And if you have a way to cycle negates, like say if you have drop negates, the ones that can be activated from the drop, if you use a drop negate and the next turn you have another, you can use the drop negate in the drop area. Like that card's gonna go extensively long for you. Like basically you're gonna get a lot of value out of that card against them.
So Matt, what was what you wanted to add?
Oh yeah.
After the
Yeah, no. So my actual tier list would then be, I think Vegex and Green Goku are like the highest tier of the decks, mostly because they do very similar things, utilizing the drop area highly effectively, and they just play a different game than everybody else does, and that really kind of warps the rest of the format around how strong they are. So I think if you take the format and build it around those 2 decks, you then have to then look into things like Invoker, Yellow Gotenks, and Soul Striker or SS3. I think are like your top tier blue leaders. I think Vegito leader is like really close, but I just don't think it's unfair enough. And I think that's what a lot of these deck operate on, that like I'm playing a different game than you, and I think that the blue leaders like Soul Striker, Vegito, and SS3 feels the most. Yeah, SS3 feels the most unfair because it just untaps 3 every turn. So if you just look at the list of the most unfair leaders, it's Green Goku, Invoker leader, Vegex, SS3, and Gotenks. I feel like are the leaders that fit that.
Can we just take a second to appreciate that we're representing all 5 colors in the top 4 to 5 decks?
Yes.
I mean,
cool.
we're not representing mono red though.
We're not.
We're not.
I was just about to talk about Beerus actually.
I know, but
I feel like
he's just like a step below.
I don't know.
There's this like weird.
Red is too fair unless you're playing the unfair cards.
Yeah, red is in this
which
weird
are
like
Invoker.
not so much red, but like there's this really weird like 1.5 limbo zone where it's like so for example Surge Broly is like the deck that Jose's been playing. I'm putting a lot of time to. Is actually really absurd. It's a really absurd deck, but like it has some like really like wonky matchups that like feels like it's unwinnable for it.
So before you continue, Pat, let's quantify this a little bit. So realistically, these for your deck to break into this tier 1 echelon, you probably need to have 3 good matchups against this top 5 deck spread.
Yes.
And these tier 1.5 decks tend to have like 2-ish good matchups. But I'll continue.
Yeah, no. So I was just saying, like, so for example, like Surge Broly, has some good matchups like against some of the stuff that's like in that top 5, and then like it goes up against Zamasu and it just gets absolutely dumpstered. So like, so let's just say it's really weird. And then like I said, there's some of the decks that are like, there's a lot of tier 2 stuff. Like I have stolen games with like were like not even viable off of some of these decks, and then like other decks where I'm just like, yeah, we stand no chance here.
Yep.
It's a weird place. Like I would say there's a good like maybe 15 leaders that I think you could reasonably expect to top a regional event with.
I mean,
so
yeah.
Talking.
I want to grab Frisco's take first because Frisco and I have the same opinion of there might be a world where there's a combination of red cards that can get there, but we haven't quite found it yet. But Frisco, I think you wanted to talk more on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the first 4 decks you have to look at are Gotenks, Invoker, Judge and Vegex. I think those are the 4 that are in the grouping from there. I think Soul Striker and SS3 are just a tad below it. I don't think they're far off, but they're basically can be in the same conversation if you want them to be. And I also think Beerus can be in that conversation too. I know we're trying to.
He can't be in the conversation.
100%, 100%.
I firmly believe it's on the same level as SS and
let me
SS3.
Let me explain why.
I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
SS3, Gotenks, Vegex, Goku, and Invoker. None of them actually play Dragon Ball. None of them actually play Dragon Ball. None of them.
He's correct. He's correct. None of them do.
Whereas Beerus, Yamcha, Surgeku, all now play Dragon Ball. Like, there's a stark difference between decks that break rules of the game and decks that don't. If you, Beerus is probably the best fair deck. I think that's reasonable.
I don't know. I have a different opinion that it just I think you can get there. I really do. I mean, only time will tell.
I feel like I'm gonna somewhat side with Frisco. Like, I don't think he's entirely correct, but I don't think he's too far off because like I've played a lot of Red this set, and yes, it's super fair, so it's not gonna be busted, right? It's not gonna be the obvious best thing in the game, but like Red has some really, really strong options. Like, they're fair, but they cover a lot of bases. Like, it's hard to not acknowledge the fact that Red has like an option for literally every situation. It's fair, but they can literally answer anything.
Right. For me, it's a matter of, I think past the only one that doesn't have the strong opinion that Vegeks is the best deck in the format, in some capacity. And the two best cards to address that are Hidden Dormant Potential, or Unlocked Dormant Potential. There's only one great mono green leader to take advantage of that, and then Topo Righteous 8 is probably the second best check to that. And it's hard to imagine that if you can support Topo, that there's at least some validity to your deck.
You missed the part where there's a leader, a tiered in this tier 2 that literally hard checks this Vegeks just by existing. So.
Ooh, let's talk about it. Who comes from the grave, bro?
Hatchiyak. I actually think Hatchiyak is really good in this format. I don't think he's like amazing, right? Like, I think he gets bodied by Invoker and Dredgeku. Like, I don't think he can win that matchup like at all ever. But like Vegeks, I don't think can beat him if you have like a competent player playing him. Like, there's players like Russell Stelzer playing Hatchiyak, and
Question.
like I don't know how you're supposed to win that matchup.
Question.
Yes, Matt.
What if you're Vegeks and you play for deck out?
If I play
You just play not to lose.
That's fair. See, I haven't
I can't deck out, bro.
I haven't actually tried to do that line of way. That's actually hilarious because
Yeah.
we were talking about this the other day. Like, this happened the other day. Like, in this, me versus Jose. Like, obviously the matchup wasn't Vegeks versus Hatchiyak, right? But we played Sin Shenron versus Serge Brawley, and Jose just played to not lose.
Mhm.
I couldn't lose the game,
Best.
right? But I could not actually kill him. There was no way he could kill me. But what he did is he literally just took the game. We went to what, like turn 27 or something absurd? I decked out. I literally decked out because I could not actually close the game because of the stupid Vegito unison. He just kept going, play it for like 8 counters, -2, and just protect it forever. And I could never Shadow Dragon out. And I was like, so he won because I couldn't actually, like, I just decked myself. There was no way for me to not deck myself. So that is fair, especially with the loss of Turles. I feel like it's harder for them to actually have that be a thing. So I will give you that. I think that is actually a legitimate way to do that. I am not a skilled enough Hatch player to actually know if there's anything besides, what is it? Is it Hatred Everlasting is the 8-drop?
Yes.
Like, if they actually had, like, a better win con, like, maybe they adapt and they, like, hard cast, like, Fu the Dark Banisher or something. I don't
Going to
really know.
Catapesla.
So I think so, two things to mention. One, the leader having 20k might make that a little bit harder than some other matchups.
That's relevant.
It doesn't draw a lot of cards either.
And Hatchiyak having Ghost Warriors to cycle itself back, it can also exist in a world where it can't be decked out either.
Yeah, it has the, aside from Vegeks, it is the leader with, that is the second best at not decking out, right?
Go for the draw, bro. Screw it.
Yeah, like, that's gonna be like, I promise you, man. If you play Vegeks versus Hatchiyak, that's gonna be like a 45-minute game 1.
Bro, we're doing it right now.
No. So yeah.
Good night, bye.
Yeah, but that's one of those. Like,
doesn't Gotenks having a unison get around Hatchiyak's effect as well? Sorry. I just figured I would just throw out.
But the point is, you'll get 3 attacks maximum a turn against a deck that plays like what, like at least 67 blockers in its deck.
Bro, he's just gonna play the unison for 5 and just Start going 25 double.
Exactly. Double strike, dual attack. Why
Good
not?
luck.
I mean,
Why not?
Good luck.
you're making it sound like it's the matchup's not like super free. I still.
I just think everyone just likes to speak in hyperbole and just go, it's free.
Oh, no,
it's
you're
free.
not wrong, but like, okay, so then like, there's like there's other things as well. Like obviously, like there's the topo, which I haven't tested it, but like in theory, that probably should also be a relatively fair matchup. You're in the color that has probably the best or the second best options naturally against the deck, and they can't really get like crazy value off of their.
But
mills.
remember, your leader doesn't work if you don't have a 2-cost unison in play.
Yeah, you don't have to remind me. That's fine. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and not tell you that like Vegex is not on deck, because Splintering Mind on 2 is broken. It's absolutely broken. It probably should not be a thing.
So
If first of all, if people want a way to beat Vegex, if you're blue or whatever, you could just put Desperate Measures in your deck and just bounce the trunks on turn 2 and be like, oh, I guess you can't do your thing.
Wait, how's Desperate Measures bounce it?
It's a bounce the trunks that grabs the Vegeta, right? The overwhelm trunks.
Yeah, but Desperate Measures only hits her 2 or less.
Is that 3 or less? No.
It's been so long since we played this card. When's the last time anyone actually played this card?
Guys, I got it.
So I
again, I don't fundamentally think.
Hold on. Pat,
No, it's good. No, it's good. Go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, you guys think like I'm not like Matt made it. I guess what I said, Richard made it seem like I don't think it's like a top 2 deck. Like I'm the only one here that doesn't think it's a top 2 deck. Like, I just think it has more outs than not, and I'm praying that more people will actually like invest time in this rather than just being like, okay, let's just play Vegex.
So it's like everyone thinks that the combo version of the deck is really strong, but it's like the mid-range version of the deck is just as busted. Like it's.
Oh yeah, no, the mid-range version is obviously. I actually like the mid-range more than the all-in, because the all-in version that Sandy has popularized.
You stay at 6 life. You stay at 6 life the whole time.
Never
You don't die. You don't die.
Go ahead, Zap.
The one thing that I think is being neglected from this conversation is that those decks don't have to be mutually exclusive in the same 65 cards.
Correct.
Or 75 cards, I suppose. It's very reasonable to have a transitional side where you just do the other thing because your card pool is so limited. But every card you played is snapped anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Pat, finish your thought.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, I just think that there are. This kind of like, I guess, forces me to transition to other things. Like, I just think that Goku just naturally, like the green Goku naturally just has the best matchup spread because he just does things so unfairly and so cheaply, and just has a built-in answer to. It feels like anyone who's just trying to play Dragon Ball Super. So there's that, but then like Invoker also just does something that's uniquely powerful that you can't stop that. Like Vegex at least can be stopped. It's stupid broken, but it can be stopped.
Yeah. Something that I wanted to ask you guys about Invoker. I find crazy that Invoker is the only deck in this format that can afford to not play Unison.
As it's Unison, it's just a Vegeta 3-drop. We just didn't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. He was already in Unison.
Yeah.
It literally, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. So do you guys want to just like, I guess, talk about Invoker? Because we keep talking about Invoker, but we don't explain, like, other than saying like it's the Goku. Like,
I mean, I think we talked about it pretty well. I mean,
Yeah.
the deck transitions back from the triple striker back to a catastrophic burn variant, and you just play it as a combo deck where if I resolve enough catastrophic blows, I win. And then every card in your deck just works to obtain it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And also, again, it's in the colors that has the second best answer to aggro. And then it obviously has sweepers as well. Like it has ways to sweep the board because it's a red.
Absolutely. So let's transition a little bit. What about those decks that don't quite cut it into the top tier but they still have a chance that they might steal a regional topping. Frisco, you want to start?
Ooh, so I'm gonna steer away from the 1.5s. I think that's pretty trying to go into more other fair blue decks like Vegito, and then other fair red decks like Yamcha, and maybe even like Frieza Person and stuff like that. Maybe even other like yellow leaders like Jiren and stuff like that too would probably be something in that mix.
Okay. Do you have any specific thing that you like so far that you tested that it falls in there?
I'm trying to look through my list right now, and I think actually Surge Cell probably falls in that category as well. But no, nothing else like that I've been testing that kind of falls in that category. I'm been trying to stick to the sell out top tier shenanigans,
Okay.
being unfair.
Matt, what about you?
I think that Yamcha, Beerus definitely sit among like tier 1.5, tier 2 versions of red decks. Vegito, Blue Leader, and Zamasu take up those same spots where I think Vegito Leader is better than Zamasu, so I think Vegito would be 1.5, Zamasu 2. If you're looking at yellow, I think Sin Shenron is probably closer to tier 2 than the original power level we expected. Major reason why is because how awkward it is going up your chain and the ability to close the game. It feels like it takes a while, and that's one thing that always concerns me with any sort of deck is how long it takes. So I find that to be something that's troubling. For green, Surge Brawly, Jose's been doing tons of work on that deck, and that deck definitely feels like tier 1.5. Tier 2, it's like a really good combination of like a fair hand destruction value deck, almost like Jund. And then I would say, what else am I thinking for green?
The Frieza starter,
Frieza
maybe?
starter
Oh,
deck.
I mean, yeah, but you're just a worse version of another deck that already exists. I mean, unless some broken promo comes out, then I can't really see anything helping that deck gets pushed towards being like high tier competitive. So I'd say there's a lot of tier 1.5 and tier 2 decks, but you can definitely feel the difference between tier 1 and tier 1.5, tier 2. Like there's a huge difference in power level.
Yes. Something I want to bring up because you brought the Sin Shenron deck. For me, like I haven't played it, but I played quite a lot against it. It feels like it's missing something. Like the deck is missing like either some piece to make it a little bit faster, like a closer or something. And because it feels like it's not a deck that you should play with 50 cards. Like it feels like either we need more dragons or, I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know if you guys agree. But that's my experience so far, playing against it at least.
I think if you're a mid-range deck, you're trying to win on like turn 4, 5, like turn 4 is like your most important turn. And Sin Shenron is so linear in what it has to play a ball on 1. It usually has to evolve that ball on 2. It usually has to play its unison on 4 because that's the awakening requirement. And then it usually has to resolve the leader ability on 6 because you're down on card advantage otherwise, and it just feels like you're so narrowed. And kind of come back to what Matt articulated so well about Jiren. Yellow's in this weird place where almost all of your power cards are the same cost as like the 2-cost unison you want to play. Like Yellow's 2-cost unisons have been underwhelming. Red's 2 costs have been underwhelming, and it's not a surprise that those leaders are underperforming in relation to the other colors that you have. And with yellow, when you have cards like Greater Warcry and Bergamo that take up the same energy slot, and unisons often act as an antithesis, they're conflicting in your progression, not so much in their utility, but in their progression.
Yeah. Totally.
I do think Jiren, like aggressive, like not really playing to unisons or only playing Mechikabura as its unisons, like and using your first 3 turns to establish.
Could you repeat that? You broke up a little bit.
Fine. So I think playing like aggressive Jiren and only using like unisons like Mechikabura.
It cut out exactly in the same spot.
I think that if you play an aggressive variant of Jiren that uses the first 3 turns to establish a wide board with Raiders Warcry, Topo, 16k, Dispos, etc., and then you use turn 4 Mechikabura as your unison, I think that deck is actually still really good, but definitely around that tier 1.5.
Okay.
I love when it does Machuga Kagura.
Can you repeat that again? You kind of broke up. No.
Stop. We joke too much here, guys.
Zap, what's your the next that can make the run?
I think everybody hit it well. So Matt's values Billy line with mine. I have nothing to add.
Pat.
I guess we'll just go by color. So red. I think the best red deck that I've seen, I guess, is like Surge Brawly. I guess that's considered red, right? So that's probably the best one. The second best one is either Yamcha or Frieza Prison. I actually do like Frieza Prison. I think that it's literally like one card. Like if there was a good 2-drop red unison, this is what that was basically saying. Like red and yellow just don't have good 2-drop unisons. Yellow actually does, but it's blocked by Raider's Warcry and just better options. Doesn't. So yeah, Frieza, I just feel like if he had a 2-cost unison, he'd be insane. It's like all he's blue. I actually think the best one is actually Zamasu. I actually like it more than Vegito, because if you go on the play, it can win the game in 3 turns if you have a really good hand. Yeah, that Matt's like, but
Hey, you know what?
I know that the leader is Zamasu, right? I know the leader is Zamasu, like in name, but it's set one Vegito, a Vegeta reboot. Like it's literally plays almost identical to Red Blue Vegeta from set one.
And no one
2.
plays set one Vegeta anymore.
Yeah, but it's a better version of that deck. Like you can kill somebody very easily with that deck.
Yeah,
so I
I'm
think
sure
that's the best
Zamasu
one.
would be amazing with 4 and things.
Vegito,
Oh my
I think
goodness.
Vegito or SS3 is either the second. Those are tied for like second or third best.
Wait, you said SS3?
SS3.
Are you mad?
Am I mad?
You don't think SS3? You don't think SS3 is top tier?
No.
You're okay.
Everybody's like sitting there just like looking at me. No.
No. You're good. You're good.
Okay. And then the distant. He's like hearing to myself. I'm saying outlandish things on this podcast, aren't I? This week. And then of all the blue stuff that I have tested is the worst blue thing. Obviously, I've tested is Expert Deck 21 is the worst blue deck I've tested, which can steal games off of some decks that I think are way better than it, which is why I like it still, but I still don't think it's there. Green, it's Goku, and then everything else is vastly inferior to Goku.
Unless you're a Surge Green leader.
Yeah, unless you're So you're just it's basically Surge Broly is the second best green.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
So
Yep.
And for yellow, just real fast, I think Jiren's the second best, and then I think Sin Shenron, and then probably Surge-Ku, and then
I think we're given. I don't think we're giving enough love to Gotenks. I know we mentioned him, but playing him feels absurd. Like I know he doesn't do anything like super. Yeah, he doesn't feel like super unfair. He doesn't do anything unfair like Dredgeku or anything like that. But when you consistently have a 25k double strike, dual attack, blow up a barrier body at will, basically, because the whole getting your unit or your targets from drop at will, Union Fusion is crazy, and of getting rid of all of being able to get free combo fodder or getting the Sand Instincts out of your hand for free. Like I don't know if we give the deck enough credit. I know we said it is tier 1, but I just wanted to give it some love.
Yeah, I think
Ravenous Chupacabra.
Exactly. So the thing is that it gains access to the most broken 3-cost in set 10, a 3-cost that draws you 2 cards and is dual attack, 25k dual strike, which is the Gotenks. It's insane.
He's
It's a
Mr. Get You Dead, bro.
and I say more outlandish things. I think it's the second best 3-drop in the set.
Uh-oh.
I think Sin Shenron Unison's better.
He's not a 3-cost. He's in Unison. It's not the same card.
It doesn't matter. It's still 3-cost.
I don't know, man. Gotenks draws me 2 cards and he kills every Unison in the game.
Yeah, but guess what?
Not to mention he gives my leader +5 in crit.
+5 in crit.
That's fine. That's fine. But you know what he doesn't give you? Discard and perfect information.
Who cares about perfect information if you're killing them?
There was a time when my dad used to say Foreseeing Hit was the best card in the game. Perfect information.
It was.
What happened?
For so long.
For those that don't know, he's talking about Matt. Matt is the dad, and I'm the mom.
Oh my god,
dude,
we forgot what Red wanted. Red wants a 2-drop Foreseeing Hit. That's what we need.
Have a 3-drop for seeing hit.
No, I mean you could play.
Oh.
You could play Go.
No.
You could play Go Tanks on 2 and just minus it 2. Why not? Like,
There's a 1 cost
You
for
go
seeing
Tanks
hit.
on 2, you go
It's not good.
Shenron on 3, and then you pull all their out so you can resolve forcing hit the next turn.
That's how I'm
Snap.
calling it now, man. Like set 17 when red gets super power creep, we just get unmoored ego. Right? We just get to call a card, look at your opponent's hand, and just get rid of every card. Just get Sealing
So-
Barrier, bro. Just get rid of every copy of the card in every zone.
So moving forward, so what decks fell off? Like Vegito fell off, right? Because at the beginning we thought that it was going to be very powerful.
I think it's really cool that we're not even talking about red yellows. Like it's not even
That's
on our
true.
radar anymore. I don't know if that's even right or wrong, but it feels inferior right now, and it just
Agreed.
it kind of makes me happy.
Surge Piccolo might have fell off a little bit too.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, bro. Triple attack, double strike. 6
Just
cost.
a little bit. Just a little.
Oh, you're talking about the leader. You're talking about the leader, the one that doesn't exist anymore.
um,
I would say that Android 21 is no longer playable.
No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Straight up, like he's not wrong. Like I am very thankful that there is a small subset of people that believes in me enough that I can actually bring this leader to some form of relevancy and viability. But like, I'll be straight up honest with you, I don't think she's good.
Oh, another leader that we should talk about is probably Boo. Boo just I think fell off.
fell off.
Bibbidi- Oh, he got replaced because the thing is, you could just be his deck with a hand.
I know.
Exactly.
But 2
That's
hands.
not bad.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just,
2
it
hands.
just-
Boo with
Two
1
hands.
hand or Boo with 2?
Yeah. It
Turtle
literally,
put the nail.
Vegex, show them why they call you 2 hands.
Yeah, Turtles basically put the nail in Boo's coffin, and it's like you can never come out.
Yep. For me, the one that fell off that I still have faith that it will come back is Baby. I think it's really hard for him to do his things. I still have faith
we're gonna make it happen together.
because hype aggro deck, and yeah. So I'll challenge accepted. That's I'm gonna look into it.
That's what I'm doing. I told you before we start. It's the puzzle, right? Like, how do I make this leader that I love so much actually a playable thing and not just a pile that's just complete and utter garbage?
Well, that's
You know-
unfortunate, Pat, because it is a pile. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know, I'm here for you. I've been helping you already.
Jose, unlike Pat's child, I understand where you're coming from, and I think like in a unison-centric format where
Right.
your archetype is built around tapping out on with 2 to play an offensive threat, and then having counterplays that you can play for free to counteract their counterplay. Like the counter to that conceptually is an aggressive, leader-driven aggressive strategy.
Mhm.
That's why Vegex is super popular. That's why people like the idea of Gohan. And Baby is probably the third leader that fits that model the best.
Right.
Maybe competing with Zamasu for that list. But I'd say Baby's a little more aggressive still.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And that's why I still have hope. But it's his glass cannonness, if you will. It's
Yeah,
And in Spanish.
having to open.
un cañón de cristal.
Yeah,
I was trying to.
having to open Dr. Mew is like the worst part about playing the deck. It's like
Yeah.
that's like the worst part. Like if you open Busted every single game, that deck has like a really ridiculous win rate. But I think it's like if you go like the free real estate version where it's like turn 1, play a Mew, play a Baby, discard a Beerus, play a Beerus, and then swing with your leader, swing with your Beerus, play your free 3-drop. Like that wide board that early.
Oh yeah. Like if you open your Graceful Charity every turn and they go on turn 2 and go for Unison, it's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, you're playing Unison. Okay, let me play my 7 cards for free and kill you real quick and swing like 20 times. Okay. Frisco, anything else? Anything to add?
No, I think we
In general?
covered it pretty well.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Pat. My
So
good
the only
son.
two things I want to
Sorry.
say is
Sorry.
yeah. One, blue as a color just fell off. That's because of two things. One, it was the first color previewed, so we didn't have perfect information of the whole set, so we didn't know how it was relative to the rest of the cards. So it just seemed insane. But like overall, like set 10 just in general seems insane compared to all the previous stuff we had. It's just the least insane. And then two, blue just doesn't have finishers. Like they just
Yes.
they feel like they just completely were just like, here's the ban list. They just went whoosh, and just cut everything off the top end of blue.
Can close and doesn't have an answer to wide aggro.
Correct. It has no floodgate, and it cannot answer. Like that's honestly like half the reason when I say to you like, oh, the blue decks that are insane are just only 1.5, and then like you have like 21 being like tier 2, maybe tier 3. It's because there's nothing to ramp into, and there's nothing to stop my opponent from just killing me outright.
You turned the
That's
tide,
the reason
bro.
why it's
You
bad.
turned the tide, bro. You
I
turned.
got I
Well,
gotta
like,
make it my
he's
mission
starting
to,
gay.
to have you play SS and SS3, and I want to try to change your mind. I don't think it's as bad as you think.
It's probably got the best defense, so like I'll give you that. But the other thing is, I guess like it's not like a deck that fell. Also, a deck that in the back burner is Sin Shenron because of exactly what Jose said earlier. I think that deck is missing something. It is close enough where I could see with like 1 or 2 cards, it becomes absolutely absurd. Like the concept of the deck is just absurd. It's just right now, it's clunky and it just doesn't. I don't know what it's missing, but it's missing something.
Yeah,
it
it
is
feels
so
like
close to being a degenerate deck. It is. So
it feels
close.
like classic Bandai when they give you a new mechanic. It's like, here, have fun with this, like cards
Yeah.
that do
Yeah, you know
something
how like
new.
yeah, you know how like Invoker was like very good, obviously right at the start, but then was like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
feels like it's missing something, and then everybody just kind of like let it go, and now it's gonna come roaring back because of one card. That's literally what Sin Shenron is. Sin
Yep.
Shenron's a deck you want to make sure you get the cards cheap and early, and then when they show you the broken card, you're like, oh, I have the deck already.
Any other thoughts, Matt? You want to?
I mean, speaking to the Sin Shenron point, I'm still in the lab on the daily trying to make the deck feel more competitive, and I think at this rate, I'm going to try switching up and focusing more on the Haze Shenron chain. Just be able to be more aggressive with the critical and double striker that you can just do the easy evol for. And because you can get that early pressure on turn 2, and you can really put a ton of like put the screws to the opponent. And I think that's the approach that you have to take is like that aggressive start, and then that old effect I used to tack on like a lot of decks used to do where you'd like be really aggressive early, and then you would just like lean on the opponent throughout the duration of the game. Like you would just be really aggressive, and then you just play like your 9-drop Sin Shenron to really like lean on them, like just to force them to have to deal with your threats. And if they don't, then they just get overcome by your over-the-top card that kind of just punishes them for trying to play the game. So I'm going to try and build the deck that way and go from there. But otherwise, I think Series 10 is a fun format to deck build in. I will say that. I think building decks in Series 10 is great. Gameplay, no comment.
Yeah.
Comment.
For me, it's still very refreshing, and I agree 100% on the deck building. I think this is where I'm getting my scars and my stars. I'm in my stripes in building decks. You guys know that I always claim to be a good pilot, but never a builder. So I am very happy that the set has so many tools for you to learn deck building skills. So I feel like the game is getting a good reincarnation, if anything. You know, it's a good change of pace, and yeah. So Sappy Boo Boo.
Yeah,
Anything else you want to add?
I think Scrub Family is best family. With any luck, this whole video will go public at 3,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone, and we're all insanely thankful for all the love and support, and we try really hard to keep you guys informed and entertained. And if there's ever anything that we can do to entertain or improve your intellectual elegance, then holla at your boys.
Yeah, and no, thank you everybody, and next week we have more reveals. We're gonna talk more reveals, right? We're getting reprints, which are the promo packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what else we getting? We getting any promos this week also?
Probably
I don't know.
tournament packs, and then if there's any other promo packs, maybe, but I don't think there would be.
Okay.
It's gonna be a lot of promos, which, again, I'm praying for like that one Sin Shenron card, maybe.
I know. I was just saying the same thing. Give me an Omega Shenron that I can freaking fuse them with 3 dragons and that's it. Or something like that.
There's also a ward where we wake up in the morning and they announce Exploiting Weakness and Saiyan Sinks on Goku were reprinted. So,
Or Warcry.
or yeah,
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, so we got it's a time. Pitu, 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 pitu. Yeah, chicken and can, a cup, yeah. Okay. Bye.